Magandang araw Pilipinas, ako si kaibigang Ferds mula dito sa Switzerland. Mga kaibigan, programang Friends on Air ay sa inyo na. Mapalad po tayo ngayong umaga, bukod sa amin pong mga regular host dito sa programang ito, makakapiling po natin ang isang kaibigan natin na siyang magbibigay linaw sa mga isyong ating pag-uusapan. Mga kaibigan, ay pauna ko nang sinasabi sa inyo, kayo po ay magbigay ng iyong mga questions. Okay, pwede kayo magbigay ng iyong mga questions, ibato nyo sa ating comment section below para po tayo ay mag-enjoy sa umaga pong ito. Okay, pakilala ko muna ang aking regular kasama rito. Take it away, Millet.
Magandang hapon po sa Bayang Sinilangan at magandang tanghali rito sa Gitnang Silangan. Ako po si Millet Jordan na nagsasabing samahan niyo po kami ngayong hapon na ito para sa isa na naman pong maganda at importanteng topic para sa araw-araw nating buhay. At sabi nga ni Ka-Ferdy na tayo ay privileged this day because we have a special guest, and please comment any questions, suggestions, violent reactions, at join us. Enjoy with us.
Okay. Ang isyong pag-uusapan natin mga kaibigan ay how COVID-19 is affecting our relationship. At hindi ko na patatagalin. Ito na ang ating special guest ngayong araw na ito. Walang iba, siya po ay isang PhD, RGC, RPCI, OP, Counseling Psychologist for Organization and Industry. Walang iba si Ma'am Dr. Joyce, MD. Ayan. Nagkalito-lito po ako. Sa haba naman ng iyo pong mga, ano bang tawag dyan? Madami kayong field na tinapos. So, ako kasi walang title, Ma'am. Check it away, Ma'am Joyce.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. Sa madaling salita, okay, as a counseling psychologist, okay, we are licensed, no? Gusto ko lang sabihin, the first country in Southeast Asia wherein nagkaroon ng licensed guidance counselors and licensed psychologists ay ang Philippines. So dalawa po ang lisensya ko. Yun lang po. Okay. So yeah, okay. So gusto kong I like to focus on the topic, which is how COVID-19, okay, is affecting our relationships due to high pressure environment, okay? So, pag sinabing high pressure environment, ang nagiging high pressure environment dito is the home. Because you know what is happening now? You have working parents who are working from home, and then they are guiding their children on homeschool online education.
Yes.
So can you imagine, there is already pressure in the home, okay? Because both parents or one parent is working from home and the other parent, if not working, is facilitating the online homeschool education of their children. So that alone is already a stressful environment, no? And aside from that, okay, the stress that is being experienced at home by the parents, okay, is also caused by the stress and pressure that they're experiencing from their headquarters, because their headquarters has to monitor the results that they are supposed to produce. So there is pressure in the headquarters, because like in the headquarters, only 10% of the people are working in headquarters or the main office. And 80 to 90% are working from home. So can you imagine, just imagine the pressure from head office to the home, okay? And then in the home, you have working parents who are at the same time guiding their online education of their children. But not all workers have families, okay? Not all workers have families na may children sila na are schooling. So if you are single and you're working from home, chances are other people who will be affected at home are your parents or your siblings. So, and ito pa, no? You know, when you go home and some of the people, went out, and then hindi pa sila na-vaccine. So yung mga tao na people who are inside the house who are not vaccinated are also have this anxiety. Oh, my son or my daughter might be bringing this virus. You know, there is what we call asymptomatic patients, and very popular ngayon na lumabas na ang Delta variant ng virus that has killed a lot of people in Indonesia and India. So all of this, no? So personally, I'm experiencing that because all my 3 sons already have been vaccinated. At ako na lang, I'm the only person who's not vaccinated, although I'm scheduled for tomorrow because I'm taking ivermectin, okay? I'm taking ivermectin. I'm very conscious with my lifestyle. And I think it's not enough, you know. So these are the anxiety and worries that we face, you know, when members of the family who are either vaccinated or not vaccinated, because they could also be carriers, okay? So given that scenario, there really is pressure. Okay, there is really pressure, there is really anxiety. That's a given, no? And okay, so we already have more or less described the typical high pressure environment, and then financial stress. Okay, why is there financial stress? Because there are some people who lost their jobs, right? There are some people who lost their jobs, and people who lose their jobs have families. They have people who are taking care of them. Now, when they lose their jobs, it's either they are either promoted, okay, they are pirated to another company, and so it's better because there is higher pay. But again, there is that pressure, you know, of being in the new job. Okay, now we talk about emotional and physical implications of the pandemic. In terms of the emotional, I just like to say that, you know, Japan, the country of Japan, has hired a minister of loneliness. Can you imagine Japan? They have hired a minister of loneliness because there is an increasing incidence of suicidal attacks. There is an increasing incidence of depression, depression. So we have suicidal attempts and suicides aside from depression, and a higher level of anxiety, which is now challenging the different hospitals in the different parts of Japan, because their hospitals are filled, okay, with COVID patients. But aside from that, these patients who are, you know, depressed, lonely, etc., also seek treatment in hospitals. So chances are they don't have those facilities. Okay, so pagdating sa emotional, I have to use the example of Japan just to emphasize that really there is such thing as emotional stress. And another thing, you know, those families who experience the demise of their loved ones due to COVID, that is already emotional stress. You know, I went through my own grieving because I was widowed last December 22, but my husband of 37 years did not die of COVID. You know, he died of another illness. But it was during the time of COVID. So can you imagine when I had to bring my husband to 3 different hospitals, and I have to face the threat of COVID, because my husband would he would always have his swab test, and he would always be negative. I never had a swab test. So, but these are the threats that will add to the emotional and physical implications of the pandemic. So, so these are the realities. Really, we really face real threats on the physical, emotional, and environmental and physical dimension of man. Okay, but you see, nandiyan na yan. They are there. Those stressors are there. What is more important is how do we cope with them. Okay, so just permit me to sip, some fluid, because I might be able to cough. Sorry.
Sure. Take your time. So sa mga viewers namin, marami tayong mga live viewers right now. Kung kayo po ay mayroong mga questions about sa topic namin pinag-uusapan ngayon, kung paano po na-apektuhan ang iyong personal na buhay, yung family, pagdating po sa COVID-19, ito na yung time. Ang ating guest.
So thank you. So I was able to sip at least three sips of water from a ice glass. So I'm going to share with you now a concept framework.
Okay.
It's a formula for well-being, and personally, I had to apply to myself. Okay. Now this is the model I'm showing later on through the share screen is a proven research-based model of well-being. Okay. What I'm saying is, okay, the COVID-19 threats are there. Okay, and we're expecting more variants, right? But we are also being reactive because we have to have our vaccines. Aside from that, we have to continue with our lifestyle wherein the foods we eat, okay, should be the foods we eat or the supplement vitamins we take should be high in vitamin C, in vitamin D, and zinc. And then at least 3 liters of water, and then at least 15 to 20 minutes of sunlight, at least 4 times a day. So you go to the sunlight, okay, 20 minutes at least 4 times a day, or with strenuous or brisk walking. Okay, so for those who cannot, who don't have the privilege of going outside for the sunlight, you must have vitamin D2. Now these are the elements. These are the vitamins: vitamin D2, zinc, and vitamin C, which have been found to be very helpful in strengthening our immune system. Okay. So given those realities, I'd like to share to you now the concept model of well-being. Okay. And this is what I think you have to remember very well. I will be giving examples, but these examples are only true for me. Okay, it may be different for you, but what is important is you assure yourself that these components of well-being you are looking into. Okay, here's the share screen. Okay, have you seen it?
Not
okay.
Yet. It's loading.
It's loading. Okay.
There you go. You can see it now.
Okay, you can see it now. Okay. So this is the only screen, okay, that I will be showing. This is the only PowerPoint that I will be showing, okay? And you have to take note of it, no? So our audience here, Brother Ferds, are all of them Seventh-day Adventists, or some are not Seventh-day Adventists?
Mix.
Okay, so since we're mixed, can I assume that all are Christians?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we review the nature of man. What really is the nature of man? Okay, what is the nature of man? So man is physical, mental, and emotional, social, and spiritual. So we have 4 dimensions. No? Man is not just spiritual. So when you have an illness, or you are going through grief, okay, or you want to be preventive in COVID-19, you have to make sure that these elements of well-being are being attended to. And this is very personal. This is very private. So what I'm saying, it will be different for my husband if he were still alive, and it will be different for me, okay? My 3 sons, it will also be different for them, because my middle son, my second son is living with his family. My oldest son is living in Makati. and my youngest son is living here in Westboro. And sometimes I'm in Makati and I'm in Westboro. So if I have to take care of my well-being, I have to be preventive. I have to know myself better. And this is what Socrates said, know thyself. So you cannot copy what your sons are doing or what your husband are doing or what your wife is doing. You cannot. You really have to look into yourself. And you have to make sure that these components of well-being are there. So based on a 25-year study of what really are the elements of well-being, ito po ang lumabas from research. So this is research-based. It's 25 years, and it is based on 15,000 respondents, ages 6 to 80. Yan. So that study was about factor analysis, which looked into what really are the elements of well-being. So ito na. So well-being will require 5 dimensions of ourselves as human beings. No? We have the creative side. No? So, and then the second is the coping side. You know, when we talk, and then the third is the social side, the social dimension. The fourth is the essential, and the fifth is the physical. So if you will look at it, they have numbers, okay, 0.98. You know, factor analysis is one of several statistical tools, okay? And so if you have a 1 as part of factor analysis, that's the highest. And you will see here from the elements that the highest is creative self. 0.02 na lang, magiging 1 na yan. So in other words, when we talk about well-being, it is the creative self, okay? It is the creative self that has the highest contribution to maintaining well-being. And then we have the coping self. Now, let me look at them one by one. You know, when we talk about creative self, this is our ability to do problem solving, okay? Man was created with the ability to be a problem solver. So when a person does not solve any problem, you know, he gets bored, he gets unproductive, he gets unmotivated. See? And if you're around 60 to 70 years old, you might be very prone to Alzheimer's because, okay, aside from the fact that there are neurochemical gaps, your brain is not functioning that fully because there's no more excitement. There is no more variety and diversity. So a very important component of well-being, which is part of being creativity, is to be able to do problem solving. And if there is a problem around, don't just swallow it. Do something about it because there is always a solution to every problem. Okay. And then you have sense of control. Studies have shown that if a person is at least 80% in control of his situation, it contributes to well-being. So don't go into a situation where you're only 50% in control. You have to be very selective of those situations that you will go into wherein at least you have 80% of you have 80% control. You know why? Because you have many opportunities to do something to solve the problem, okay? Or the challenge. Then a third component of creative self is emotional awareness and coping. You know, when we speak of emotional awareness, while we are understanding the other person, or while we are looking at a situation, and whether we like it or not, we are being affected, we have to listen to our emotions from within. So when we say we have to listen to our emotions, it doesn't mean that we will be controlled by them. Just be aware of those emotions that are affecting you, because those emotions are telling you something about yourself. Those emotions will affect the way you think about yourself, okay? So be aware of those emotions and how they are affecting you. Yun lang. I'm not saying that you let those emotions control you. That is what we mean by emotional awareness. Now, if your emotions are affecting you negatively, don't be overwhelmed. Huwag kayo magpatalo. If your emotions are affecting you negatively, this is what I do. Okay? I isolate that emotion, and then I become aware. Oh, it is making me fearful. It is making me feel useless. It is making me feel helpless. Yun lang. You know, after I recognize those emotions, I pray. Lord God, give me the wisdom, give me the courage to change this emotion. So I state a Bible verse, okay? I'm a Christian, okay? I go to the Bible and I claim a promise of God that with God nothing is impossible, and that our thoughts and our emotions must be surrendered to God, so that it is only the mind of God and the affections of God that I will desire. You know what? It's helping, okay? And then sense of humor. You know what? This sense of humor, I'm a widow now, but we don't call ourselves widows. We call ourselves caring singles once again. So I have this club. Yeah, what? I have this club. I have this club of 4 widows, okay? But we call ourselves caring single. And in fact, we already have a care group at the North Philippine Union Conference, and we are about 30 caring singles. And widowers or men who lost their wives are now getting interested to be part because it's a care group. So one of the things that I enjoy with this group of 4 is that we tend to laugh all the time. We go out once a month, okay? We go to New Valley, okay? Serendra. And then, we eat and then we laugh a lot. And then at least once a week, we don't schedule this, but it is so automatic. We have this group chat in our cell phones. And we start like 9 o'clock in the evening and we end like 12:30. See? And we laugh a lot. And this is how we maintain the creative dimension of our well-being, sense of humor, and then work and career. Okay, although I am technically retired from an organization, I am active in the business of saving. What do I mean by that? As a president of ASI, North Philippine Union Conference, we have this evangelistic project. And you will just look at my back. You see the background?
Yeah.
You see the background, which is purple? Okay, we really had to hire a digital web designer to come up with a very, how should I say, attractive Facebook page. And we had to come up with a brand name, which is the Y Community. And Y Community stands for Wealth, Health, and You. Why? Because this evangelistic program is targeting non-Adventists who are wealthy, worldly, and well-educated. See? And so we just finished our first evangelistic online virtual evangelism project last June 13, May 22 to June 13. And we had 8 speakers, we had 8 topics, and these are people from the different parts of Southeast Asia, including the US. So why did we name the evangelistic group of NPUC-ASI as the Y Community? We did a research. We did a mini research on what are the top problems of these 3 Ws, the wealthy, the worldly, and the well-educated. And we found out that they have 3 common issues. Number 1, how to maintain and sustain wealth. Second, their families, and third, their health. And we have seen that they will always put priority in wealth accumulation, such that their health and their families suffer. However, deep inside them, they want the best of 3 worlds. They want their families intact, they want to be healthy, but they still want to continue being wealthy. Okay? And so our evangelistic program, which was online, was patterned based on those needs. Okay? So why am I sharing that to you? Because on the 5th element of creative self, which is work and career, I may have retired from the traditional workplace, but I am continuing my career as my vocation and mission. Okay, no? So that is the creative self. Now, I just gave you examples of what I do, but you can have your own. You can pray and plan your own, such that you have to assure yourself and be honest with yourself that you are indeed sharpening the creative side in you. Okay? So the second dimension of the coping self, ayan, this is the part of our humanity, okay? That really has to work a lot because of COVID, di ba? We have to cope, no? So when we talk about coping, there are 4 elements of coping. 1 is leisure, okay? Yeah? 1 is leisure. When my husband was still alive, we don't have a television in this in the house which he built, which is a bungalow. But when he left, it was so sad. It was so depressing. I had to buy a 50-inch TV. Just so, just so I can listen to humorous, humorous movies or what, no? Because they give me leisure, I find myself listening to bossa nova music. Because if I listen to religious music, I become so sentimental. I remember my husband. So why will I keep listening to religious music when it makes me grieve again? Nagkakaroon ako ng pinching sensations dito sa chest. So sabi ko, ayoko. I have to change my music. So can you imagine? I am listening to Brazilian bossa nova music. Ay, nawala na yung mga pitik-pitik sa aking chest. You see? Oh, you know why? What is about bossa nova music? Because the Brazilian bossa nova music follows the rhythm of my heartbeat. Yan. If it follows the rhythm of my heartbeat, it will relax you. So initially, when my husband was at the peak of his illness, and until he passed away and the grieving, I was experiencing blood pressure from 110/70. It became 110/90, 130/90. And I said, this is not good. I want to go back to my normal blood pressure, which is 110/70. And you know what? Listening to bossa nova music was so helpful. So I'm sharing to you. So it depends on you. Kasi magkaiba tayo. Okay, that's the way I do my leisure. Mm-hmm. And then I laugh a lot, which is part of my leisure. And then I walk a lot. I walk a lot. Now it's about stress management. So there will always be stressors. But as I said, be aware of those possible stressors. Okay, nako, another stressor that I want to share. Nako. Siyempre, single na naman ako. My God, may mga naggugulo dyan, no?
Wow!
May naggugulo dyan, may nagpo-post na, or what? Sabi ko, pwede ba? 2 weeks pa lang nawawala yung asawa ko. Then, nag-aano na kayo sa akin? Ako. So, as of now, wala pang 7 months ako na widow. Pero may mga lumalapit diyan na mga widowers, samantala sila malapit na sila mag 1 year. Sabi ko, excuse me huwag niyo muna akong guluhin. Kung kayo magbababang luksa na kayo kasi naka 1 year na kayong byudo. Ako wala pang 7 months, no? It's kind of stressful kasi ayoko maging suplada, okay? I want to be kind, I want to be a good Christian. So, it's stressful for me. Kasi naiinis ako sa loob, pero hindi ko masabi-sabi. Yan. Okay? So, another stressful event that I had to manage, I had to manage my sons. My sons are, I should say that they're successful in the career kasi, biro mo they had to leave a job kasi pinapirate sila. During COVID, no? So, sabi ko parang ang tataas sa mga standard nila, I have to level up with them. Tsaka minsan ang treatment sa akin, parang hindi mother, kulang sa empathy. So, I become sensitive and then I tell myself, my sons, they are men first and then they are sons. See? So, ano yung effect sa akin? Loneliness. See? I became lonely. So, this part, this is really stressful. Okay. And then, nagkakaroon ako ng sense of worth, yung value ko kasi alam mo nung nawala yung asawa ko, parang nawala ako ng backbone. I felt nawala ako ng backbone. I felt nawala na akong purpose. At I felt, gusto ko na sumunod. Yan, see? So, it was very stressful for my part. And the number 1 stressor, which is 100 points, the highest level of stressor is the death of a spouse.
Oh.
Yeah, based on research. It's not separation, it is the death of a spouse, especially kapag nagmamahalan kayo. Kasi yung iba, tuwang-tuwa sila mawawala yung spouse nila kasi ng babae o ng lalaki or alam mo na maraming problema. Pero in my case, hindi Si Pastor D, he left his house in order. Walang utang, wala. Malinis lahat. See? So, pag nawala ka ng asawa, pati yung self-worth mo, mag-ano ka kasi nag-iisa ka na lang eh. Okay? And I'm speaking for my experience, but it will be different from yours. Okay? And itong realistic beliefs nako. Alam na alam ko, I really know for a fact that if you cannot accept reality, grieving is going to be prolonged. So the first thing that I did, which is an acceptance of reality, I had to dispose his clothes and his books here in Severina. And I had to donate them to the College of Theology of AUP. Because every time I see them, it will be difficult for me to distance myself na wala na siya. Okay? It was very stressful. And then I had to do the same thing with, my humble house in Makati. The second thing that I did was I had to go back to my Facebook page. And usually, ang picture ko naman sa Facebook page, magkasama kami. Inalis ko na yun, magkasama kami. Nilagay ko na yung picture ko, nag-iisa ko. You know why? Because that is the reality. I am alone. I am going to face, I have entered a new chapter of my life and I am alone. I did not even put my children because I really felt that I was alone. I felt my sons had their own lives. Iba na takbo ng isip nila, hindi nila ako maintindihan. So initially, kung makikita mo, if you will see my Facebook page, you will only see my picture, and at the background is a lighthouse, a mid-storm. So which was really projecting what I was going through. But at the end of 6 months, iba na. Naintindihan na rin ako ng mga anak ko, hindi na rin ako masyadong sensitive. So nabago na naman yung Facebook picture ko. Kung makikita niyo yung Facebook picture ko, nandun na yung mga anak ko with my in-law and my future daughter-in-law. Okay? Pero yung inset na picture, nag-iisa pa rin, ako pa rin. Kasi yun ang reality eh. So the faster, the quicker that you accept your reality, kahit masakit, yun ang katotohanan, grieving will be reduced. Okay? So that was how I was coping. Now, it will be different from you listeners, because you did not experience what I experienced, losing a husband that I lived with for 37 years. Now, itong social self. So, nakita nyo social self is composed of friendship and love. Now, studies have shown that people live longer. And people have less diseases when they get old. When their social life is healthy. Sabi ko, so I said, wow, I have to work on this kasi talagang wala na akong social life. Wala na nga akong intimate talks with my husband. And then, yung mga friends ko noon na sila mismo nahihiya mag-approach sa akin kasi they do not know how to help because they're either single or or married. And I realized that I had to lumiit yung circle of friends ko. Alam mo kung bakit? Kasi yung mga byuda lang ng mga friends ko ang nakakaintindi sa akin. Nakikita ko yung mga friends ko na hindi byuda or single, they were there to say good words. They were polite, syempre. But they were not empathic. So lumiit ang circle of friends ko. Pero ito ang nangyari. Yan, ito na. Because of the kindness of the health director of North Philippine Union Conference, we were able to come up with a new care group. Care group ng mga widows. At ayaw namin na pangalan ng widows kasi parang kawawa eh. Alam mo ang pangalan namin, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, Caring Singles, once again. Yan. See? So nagkaroon ako nun yung friendships. Nagkaroon ako ng new friendships. Kaya, if you will look at me, parang I'm so active, I'm so jolly, but it's because of this social group. Tapos ito naman, love. Okay, whether I like it or not, yung mga nag-aaligid-aligid dyan, maganda naman pala ang feeling ko. Di ba? They make me feel good. Doon nagliligaw, nagpo-propose, etc.
But ma'am, there's a potential that someday we'll have another partner with that.
You know what? They would ask me, are you open to remarrying again? Somebody told me, a widow told me, never say no because baka baliktad ang mangyayari. So, ano na lang ang sinasagot ko? kung ano ng will ng Lord.
Okay.
Yan, kung anong will ng Lord. Yan, Pero, wala kang magagawa kung may mga nagpaparinig, yung iba hindi lang nagpaparinig, talagang diretso. So, I have to admit, I feel good. Yan. And that feeling is good for my well-being. See? Yan. Okay? So, I don't know how it will be with you because some of you are married, some of you are talagang single, So, whatever. Basta, I just gave examples from my own perspective. Okay. And then the essential self. Ayan. When we talk about essence of spirituality, this is something to do with yung relasyon mo sa Panginoon. In the morning when I wake up, the first person I talk to is God.
Nice.
And I thank Him that He has given me a new life every day and good health. And then I talk to God. Sabi ko, Lord, I don't know what's going to happen next to my life. But I am terribly lonely. So Lord God, please help me. Please help me and give me wisdom. Give me, sabi ko sa Panginoon, Lord, I want your mind to be in my mind. I want your emotions to be in my heart so that I will only desire what you want for me, given my situation. So that is an example of essence of spirituality. It's my relationship with God. And I look at God now as the greatest orchestrator.
Yeah.
Okay. And then self-care. Ayan, dapat parati kang malinis, not necessarily mabango. But you should take care of yourself. Really take care of yourself. No? Basically, that is it. Take care of yourself. So, when Ferdy text me, oh ma'am, 4:45, ganito, tama-tama, I was fixing myself already, no? And I have a lot of Zoom meetings every week. So this keeps me alert na parang ka tayong nakaayos. Yan. So that is one of self-care. Aside from that, I lost 26 pounds during the time that my husband got sick. And I like it because I feel lighter. Yeah, I feel lighter, 26 pounds. And so I had to change my food. I austerize cucumber and carrots every day. I eat carrots raw. Okay. I eat less of white meat except, when my sons are there kasi they would order food, but basically, okay na sa akin yung tofu, chia seeds, which is a source of protein, you put in your beverage, etc. So basically, I had to simplify my diet, no? Which is part of my self-care. Okay, gender identity. Pag sinabing gender identity, the Lord only created a male and a female. Okay? And but now there are a lot of gender varieties, okay? What we mean about gender identity? If you are a woman, be the best. Make the most of your femininity. Hindi yung mamaka-out. Hindi yung magkakaroon ka ng self-pity. In the Bible, God has commanded, God has verses that widows and the orphans will be taken care of. Walang mga widowers. You know why? Because in Bible times, when a man loses a wife, the property is still in his name, the children are still on his side. But when a woman loses a husband, she has no property. Wala. She has no property. And then her children will have to be slaves, especially if they don't have money. So the children are now, they become slaves so that they are bought, and that money that is given in exchange for her children will be her sustenance. So mas nakakaawa ang babae ng Bible times pag sila ay nawawala ng asawa. Hindi kagaya ng lalaki, ang property, lahat sa pangalan niya pa, at he can even get the children. Yeah, see? So, but times have changed. Times have changed. Women are more empowered now because of education, because of opportunity. And so, we need to be thankful that we are women as well as men, you also need to be thankful to God that you are men. Now, we cannot erase the fact that there are some who are effeminate. Ibig sabihin, there are some men who are more attracted to the same gender. Okay? That is more challenging, no? But part of well-being is that you accept yourself, but refrain from doing anything that is fornicating. Yan, okay, no? So that's part of the gender identity. And then the cultural identity. Okay, so in the Philippines, we have North Philippines, we have Central Philippines, and then we have South Philippines. So in the North, you have already different set of dialects. Okay, so you have the Ilocano, and then you have the Bicolanos, and then there are a lot of Visayans, and there are a lot of Ilonggos, whether it's in the North Philippines or Central Philippines or South Philippines. Now, when we talk about cultural identity, let's say in a company, there are more Ilocanos and you are an Ilonggo. Oftentimes you will say, I am outnumbered because of the cultural difference. No? They call it more of the ethnic, no? The ethnic. So the challenge here is that we focus on the strengths of our ethnic identity. So even if I'm among Ilocanos and I'm Ilongga, I have to build on the strengths of the Ilonggos and try to blend with the Ilocanos. So that's what we mean by cultural identity. Okay, if you belong to the Philippines. Now, if you work in a place which is composed of, you have a multinational workforce, you have people from different countries. And even if you're working from home, it is possible that when you have your meetings, you are interacting with people from different nations. Okay? So tonight at 7:30, I have a Zoom meeting with the ASI SSD President's Council, meaning I will be meeting with the other 12 presidents, ASI presidents from the 13 countries of SSD. So I represent North Philippines, Filipina. So I'll be interacting with a different presidents coming from different cultures. And so there is what we call this emotional dynamics, no? Because all of them, many of them are men, and then I'm a woman. I could feel that. But it's better, it's good to be aware of how you feel, no? That's emotional awareness. So if you are aware that parang nagkakaroon ka ng inferiority, parang ka nagkakaroon ng insecurity kasi babae ka, tapos dami din ang lalaki, nagkakaisa sa... Don't let that emotion control you. Be aware of it and try to build on it so that you still maintain your self-respect and your dignity, even if you cannot agree with the men. Yan. And, of course, you always have to look beautiful. Yan. Okay? Okay, so that's part of the essential self. Now we go to the last, which is the physical self. So, oftentimes, we think well-being has something to do with the physical self. But in this research, I discovered that the physical side of well-being, which is composed of nutrition and exercise, is only 0.51. So the highest is 1. But the importance of the physical component of well-being is only 0.51. And we talk about nutrition and exercise. So in exercise, as I said, at my age, I'm 61, and considering that it's COVID, brisk walking under the sun for 20 minutes is good enough. And then you have your stretching exercise now. So I'm not saying that you do the same thing because we have different body physiology. We have different body physiology. So it's nice to know your body physiology. It's nice to know your biochemistry. How do you do that? You go through blood chemistry test in the laboratory. Okay? So that you will know kung ano yung high, kung ano yung low in your chemistry. And that will be the basis of your diet. Okay? So it's good that you know your biochemistry, like your sugar level, your uric acid level, your blood platelets, your RBC, your white blood cells, uric acid and everything. You have to know their levels. Because instead of taking medicine, we believe now food as medicine. You have to adjust your diet so that kung ano yung kulang sa iyong biochemistry, it is going to be made up by your diet.
I see.
Okay? So, I have just discussed with you now what well-being is. And you know, this is what I'm using. No, I will not recommend something that I'm not using on myself. So, you know, after I lost my husband and I was really crushed. Okay? I was really crushed. Okay? But I said, kasi ito yung pinag-aralan ko, I said, I have to be deliberate in working on my well-being. Because you know what? I know of a minister's wife. After 1 year, she also died. She got sick and she died. And there are a number of wives who go beyond, well, they say that the normal span for grieving is 6 months to 2 years. So I said to God, Lord, gusto ko by 6 months, iba na ako. And no, the Lord really helped me. That's why now, on July 22, it's already my 7th month as a widow. And you know, I was able to cope. I had a different perspective even earlier than 6 months. No? And so, why? Because I was deliberate. I was intentional. Sinasadya, pinag-aaralan talaga yan. How I can get back to my well-being using these elements. No? Now, we're COVID. We're into the COVID era. You know? So, this has helped me a lot. So, part of this creative self, this coping self, the social self, and essential self, I became aware of that. No? I became aware. So, one thing that I like to add sa physical self, because ayoko muna magpa-vaccine. Sa dami ng mga balita sa vaccine na nakakasuka, na nakaka-demoralize. I decided to listen to some researches about ivermectin. Okay? I could see that a lot of doctors chose not to be vaccinated as of now, but they're taking ivermectin. Although there is no strong research in the Philippines to prove, but there are researches from other countries. Okay, so I was able to buy ivermectin. No? But because of the growing threat of COVID, because of the different variants, no, I said, okay, I'm going to give into vaccination. So tomorrow will be the first day. Okay, so that's part of the physical self. Okay, so I guess I have covered, no?
Yeah.
Formula for well-being that you can apply in the midst of the threats of a COVID environment, whether you're working from home, you know, or you're tutoring your children. If this worked for me, I know it's going to work for you. You know why? Because this model of well-being takes into consideration the nature of man. So regardless of your nationality, we have only one nature of being human being. No? And so the human being that is created in the image of God, no, man is physical, he is mental and emotional, he is social, and he is spiritual. So I would like to end my presentation here, and I am open for questions.
Yes. Now, question and answer portion. Sa ating mga viewers, kung meron kayong tanong regarding po sa COVID-19, kung paano ito naka-apekto sa inyong mga relasyon, ay panahon na para kayo po ay magtanong. Ang una kong tanong, ma'am, kasi sa dynamic ng sa uri ng pamilya, mayroon ang Pilipinas. Kasi dito sa Europa, alam natin ang Western world, yung mga ganito ay napaka-independent. Wala sila masyadong sinasabi nating close tie katulad sa Pilipinas. Pero sa Pinas, ang tanong po ay, paano ba ito masosolusyonan ng mga pamilya na kung saan hindi well-educated kung paano i-cope up itong social distancing? Okay.
Yeah, you know, that's a big challenge, especially at home, no? When some of the members of the family are working, they have to go out. You know, I'm lucky here, no, that in this Westboro homes, you know, I don't have to go to the supermarket every day. You know why? We have a neighbor here. The father and the daughter are now jobless. But they came up with catering. And they're Seventh-day Adventists. So can you imagine? Just sa kanila na ako bumibili ng pagkain. No? Aside from that, may mga relatives sila from Nueva Ecija na nagdadala ng mga gulay, mga prutas. See? So doon na ako bibili. Ngayon pagdating sa mga pangangailangan sa supermarket, okay, I have my sons, they have their car, pero talagang naka-face mask kaya sila, naka-face mask, naka-face shield, tapos parating may dalang alcohol. Okay. So talaga, wherever we go, you have to have at least 2 bottles of alcohol na spray. And then you have to have your face mask all the time at may extra ka. And then you have to have your face shield. Now, hindi talaga may iwasan yung social distancing kasi like when I went to SM, when I went to Glorieta, you know? Well, sa SM tsaka sa Glorieta, lalo na sa Glorieta, I can social distance is being observed. You know why? Because there are few people. But when you go to the supermarket, there are more people. But just also be aware. Just also be aware. Because before you go to the supermarket, di ba, nag-temperature tayo, di ba? The temperature, etc. So sa temperature pa lang, kapag wala kang fever, although it could be asymptomatic, at least, hindi ka delikado. Kasi wala kang fever eh. Okay? So, napaka-challenging ang social distancing kapag yung tirahan ng tao ay napakasikip.
Yes. Isang room lang. Paano?
Well, you know, in the first place, yan ang resources nila eh. So, kahit nasa loob ka ng bahay, talagang mag-iingat kayo. Lalo na doon sa members of the family na lumabas. Okay. So, let's say pag lumabas ka, pag lumabas ako, pagdating ko dito, kahit minsan ko lang nagamit ang clothes ko, I put it already in the laundry bag. And then I take a bath.
Okay.
So, dumadami lang ang labada ko. I had gloves para hindi naman magkaroon ng wounds. Yung aking arms kasi, yung aking hands kasi, you know, when I go out, and then when I come here, I don't repeat my clothes anymore. Take a bath. And then, ang ginagamit ko ngayon is always safeguard, lalo yung liquid, because it's 99% germ killer.
Talaga. That's the brand of the Philippines. Ma'am, another question. With regards to intimacy, romantic or intimacy of husband and wife.
God, of course, nako.
Paano nangyari?
You still have to maintain that. You know, you still have to maintain that. That is the reason why ang mga husbands and mga wives still have to maintain hygiene. They have to have good hygiene. Now, what is very critical here is the oral hygiene. I recommend Bactidol. Aside from brush. Okay. Bactidol as a mouthwash.
Okay.
And then
question.
Na mga wash. Para lang manigurado tayo.
Yes. Okay. Kasi yung iba, kaya ko naitatanong to ma'am, kasi yung iba, parang ito ang nagiging dahilan kung bakit nagkakaroon ng pagtatalo yung magkarelasyon. Kasi yung isa may sakit. Kasi yung isa may sakit. Wala man magdidikit ka. May sakit eh. Ano ang coping? Paano nila maiintindihan ng partner nandito ang virus, nandito yung sakit, pero ma-maintain yung harmony.
Kung yung sakit, if the illness of the other partner is not communicable, okay lang. Pero mag-ingat ka talaga, lalo na sa oral. Okay. But if the illness is communicable, you must not even sleep with him. He has to be isolated. So, napaka-challenging talaga kasi paano yan kung iisa lang ang kwarto? O di doon kayo sa sala. So you make the most. I cannot give a generic guideline because not all homes have enough rooms.
Yes. Okay.
But whoever is affected, whether COVID, a worst case, or another disease which is communicable, he has to be isolated even within the house.
Yes. Millet, do you have a question, Millet?
I just want to give comment. Doctor, your presentation is very well, very informative, and we are so thankful that our audience will catch up all the information that you had given to us. And just to add on, in short, Doctora, that in coping up with these present challenges in pandemic is yourself. Paano mo i-motivate yung sarili mo with regardless na single or married ka. At ayun nga, isa yun sa magandang factor nating Filipino na yung resiliency. Alam niyo yun, na despite naman nangyayari, we're looking forward for the rainbow, the positive one. So it's up to us talaga kung anong gusto natin direction. It's how we motivate ourselves. It's what goal and what intention that we have for us to move on this present situation.
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to share with you that I'm a Seventh-day Adventist Christian. And so as a Seventh-day Adventist Christian, we have hope. Why? Because the Bible said so. And the Bible, from the study of the Word of God, never tells a lie. Bakit? We already have several prophecies that have been fulfilled. Okay? We have prophecies that have been fulfilled.
Yes.
So, ibig sabihin, the Word of God is not telling a lie. And it's a pandemic na to. In the Bible, they call it pestilence. That has been predicted. So what is happening now is the truth.
Yeah.
Fulfilled. So ibig sabihin, the prophecy that is given in the Bible is totoo. Hindi nagsisinungaling Panginoon, hindi nagsisinungaling ang kanyang salita. So it is the hope that is giving me hope. Okay? And, well, you know, as a result of the demise of my husband, there is one characteristic of God that became very clear to me, that God is the great orchestrator.
Yeah.
Okay? Some things may happen that are very painful, but there is always a reason. And again, hope. So it is my hope in Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It is my hope in the Word of God. And one thing pala that I have now, every week, I have a weekly Bible study with a group of international Chinese, all Seventh-day Adventists. So coming from different countries, we meet in one Zoom meeting. And you know what we are studying now? We're studying about prayer. So that is another form of social coping. Okay? So hindi lang yung mga kaibigan ko na mga byuda na naghahalak-hakan kami, etc., etc. Meron rin grupo na wala kaming ginagawa kundi Bible study.
Yes. Ma'am, another question when it comes to family back in the Philippines, like financial. Paano nila ito makukup up ngayon? Ano ba ang pwede nilang gawin na hindi sila stressful, hindi restless?
You have to simplify your life. Simplify your life. Focus on those products that are a necessity or non-negotiable. Tapos yung ibang wants nyo, alisin nyo muna yun. Basta tayo sa mga non-negotiables, mga necessities. Okay? Now, hindi mawawala ang insecurity due to job loss. Pero alam, nakakatawa ang Pilipino. Ang galing nila mag-cook, no? So marami na ngayon, nagdi-deliver, Grab, or Lalamove, or what. Kasi marami nang nagluluto. Tapos instead na pupunta ka sa supermarket, i-deliver na. So yung son ko my son, a number of the things that he buys are all delivered by Grab or Lalamove, no? So I believe in the resilience of the Filipino. The Filipino has that resilience. You know why? Why did we not have to appoint a minister of loneliness? Because we're a Christian country. We are a Christian country. Japan is not a Christian country. So
Yeah.
they have to go into the mechanics of analyzing loneliness, analyzing depression, analyzing suicidal attempts, no? But for us as Christians, kasi malaking bagay talaga yung prayer. So, well, it's also a blessing in disguise that during COVID, people have become closer to God.
Yes, and that's true. It's always boils down to the personality of a person, because not everyone is just like here. I give an example. Here in Switzerland, people don't mind about religious things. this is a rich country, but they have no spirituality here. So low. So,
Very low.
yeah, so nakakatakot po rito tumira. Kung ikaw ay isang mananampalataya galing sa Pilipinas at napunta ka dito, baka ma-influence ka nila. So,
O
kailangan...
paano yan? Babalik ka na sa Pilipinas?
Pero itong ginagawa namin ma'am dito. Ako, ang maganda dito, tayo mga Filipino kasi bukod na mahusay tayo makipagkaibigan, so nagkakaroon ako ng iba't ibang lahi ritong kaibigan, iba't ibang kultura. Ang isang Pinay na kasama ko sa church, dahil dalawa lang kami, magaling siya magluto. So pag nagluluto, nagpipiknik kami kasamang ibang lahi. Ako naman sa daldal area. Ako yung madaldal. So,
well, you call that, no, don't call that. Mrs. White in stewardship has described 4 very important talents. The talent of resources, the talent of influence, the talent of speech, and the talent of physical strength. Kaya wag mo sabihin mga nagdadaldal, no. That is speech and that is influence. That's why the more you have to build on it.
Yes, because here, sa totoo lang ma'am, mayroon ditong mga Serbian, mga galing sa ibang European countries. So, minsan naisip ko nga, mahirap ng daming pinakutunguhang kultura. Pero yun ang pinaka-effective naming paraan para ang spirituality namin dito mag-grow. At saka meron kaming English group. Yan. Yun ang bonding time namin dito. So kahit
very good.
Tapos nagzo-zoom, mga ganong style, katulad ng ginagawa ma'am, tayo ay active sa iba't ibang aspeto ng ating pagkatao. Millet, do you have question before we close our
Add-on lang, yun nga rin, katulad ng sinasabi natin na sa amin dito, instead na i-focus namin sa sarili namin yung boredom, bakit hindi ka mag-create ng how to reach out? Yung paano mo tulungan ng iba na mas malala yung problema sa'yo. Na mas alam mo yon, maging thankful ka kasi ito yung sitwasyon mo ngayon compared dun sa iba. So let's look naman dun. So paano natin matulungan yung kawawa ka, alam mo yung ganon. Kasi by helping others, dun ka nagkakaroon ng satisfaction at saka inner happiness.
Okay. Last question ko kay ma'am. Ma'am, kayo ngayon kasi social media, dahil sa lockdown, dahil sa quarantine, social distancing, ang texting ba ay can replicate human connection? Yeah, I like it. So, yun siguro kasi 'di ba mag-sweetheart nasa Isabela, nasa Manila, hindi nagkikita, nagchat-chat lang. Ang mga cellphone siguro hindi capable sa audio, mga ganon.
Oh well, if Isabela, Manila at pareho silang may vaccine.
Okay.
That should not deter them from meeting.
Okay. Pero teka.
Unless may mga public transportation na.
Ayun, okay. Got it. Kasi dito sa Switzerland, naka-face mask pero hindi stricto na. Yun lang face mask mayroon kami.
Kamusta ang percentage? Kamusta ang percentage ng vaccinated people dyan?
I think nasa 3 million ata. Kasi merong certain level din silang ma-reach. Ang population namin dito, 8 million plus lang kami. Okay.
Okay, so if it's 8 million and they have 3 million, so more or less than mga 33% are already vaccinated. So may
Tsaka,
threat pa rin. May threat pa rin kasi 33% lang vaccinated.
pero dito, optional siya. Katulad ko, asawa ko, mga kaibigan ko, hindi kami nagpa-vaccine.
Ayun. Hindi ba nire-require sa inyo?
Hindi po nire-required. Maano ang respeto dito sa human rights.
Kaya nga kinakabahan na naman ako kasi bukas panglima ko na natawag.
Ma'am, puntahan nyo kasi proven naman yung mga vaccines natin. Wala naman
Yes.
ako nakitang medyo nagkaroon.
Okay. Bakit kayo hindi kayo nagpapa-vaccine?
Kasi gusto namin magka-baby pa. Kasi meron
Okay. No need to explain. Understand?
Yun nga.
sinabi ko online. Okay, go.
It's okay. Tama yan kasi you are recommending it, but how come you're not doing it? So you have a very good reason.
Yeah. Yun lang ang reason namin. Okay, more so. Okay. So, Millet, merong add-on ka pa dyan o wala na? Si Ma'am may meeting next niyan.
I just want to highlight yung Philippians 4, 6 to 7 as my parting words. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your request to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus.
All right. Ma'am, what is your parting words before we close?
I don't have my Bible here. I have to get out. I have to get out. But I recommend that we get to experience God in a more intimate way.
Yes.
Okay? And we ask God to put His thoughts in our mind. We ask God to imprint His emotions in our heart. So there is no need of fear.
Yes. Yes, thank you. All right, mga kaibigan, marami pong salamat sa inyong pagsama sa amin sa loob ng 1.5 oras siguro sa ating talakayan kung paano po nakaapekto po ang COVID-19 sa ating mga relasyon. At ito po ay 100% na nailahad ng ating guest ngayon, si Doc Joyce D sa kanya pong slide na pinakita sa atin. Huwag kayong mag-alala, marireview natin ang video ito, mapupulutan natin ng magandang aral. So isang napakalaking privilege po talaga ito sa programang Friends on Air na makasama si Ma'am Joyce. Pero alam niyo ba, si Ma'am Joyce, nakasama ko na sa Pilipinas through radio. Ayan sila Pastor D before. So yun po, kami po ay pansamantalang magpapaalam. Kaibigang Millet, paalam ka na.
Okay, thank you so much po for joining us today. As always, reminder po, keep safe, stay healthy. Ako po si Millet Jordan dito sa Gitnang Silangan.
Ma'am Joyce, pasabi naman kung taga saan tayo.
Well, I'm from the Philippines.
Yes, from the Philippines. Okay, kung gusto niyo makuha ang service ni Ma'am Joyce tungkol maging lecturer, maging speaker sa mga event, ay nako, contact lang po natin. Ako naman po si kaibigang Ferds mula dito sa Switzerland, nagsasabing mag-ingat po tayo sa ilalim ng guidance ng ating Panginoon. Bye for now!
Bye! God bless!
God bless!
Bye!
Okay.